All right, so here we are with our weekend pre-market analysis, and we're going to go over gold. Just wanted to show you kind of why we have to go over things on the weekend. So, as you're trading, we got trend lines, we got zones, and those are the main things we look at the 4-hour time frame. And then while we're down on a 5 or 3, 10, whatever you're trading as your day trading, or even a 1 minute, we draw trade lines. I call those trade lines instead of trend lines. You can still call them trend lines. It's still basically the same thing. The reason I call them trade lines is only because I want to delete them at the end of the day, at the end of the week. I want to delete those periodically. It's best to go through and kind of delete those at the end of each trading day or session. So when you're done trading, you take the time to delete them off the chart, and that way your chart doesn't become cluttered. So I just call them trade lines because they're only there to support the trade while you're getting in and getting out of your trade or adjusting your stops. And then we also end up with some horizontal lines, which we call, they're basically just support and resistance lines that we put off highs and lows, and then we use those to pull partial profit and to close out contracts as we go, as also to move stops along the way. So the big thing is to close them at the end of the day, definitely at the end of the week, because this is what you end up with. It just looks cluttered. So, and we need to go out to the 24-hour or the 4-hour time frame. So this is kind of what it looks like then. On the 4 hours, you're trying to zone in and look. It's just really, really, really cluttered. So it's best just to go through and delete those as you go. I take them all off except for the 4-hour zones, any 4-hour lines, as well as any 4-hour trend lines. You should have at least 2 trend lines on the 4-hour time frame, and you can either delete them this way, or you can go into over here and adjust them and take them off your object tree. I just go through and click on them all. It might seem to take a little longer. But I want to make sure I don't get anything deleted off the 4-hour time frame, which typically are going to be my boxes and at least 1 down trend line and 1 up trend line. So basically we're going to go through and just kind of delete all those, and then we need to go back and delete these. So as you can see, that's why you want to delete them at the end of your trading session, and that way you don't have to go through on a Saturday or Sunday and do all this. This should all done before market opens. You'll see I've got several where they say 4-hour zone on there. Those are okay to leave. If you want, you can delete them. You just have to make sure that you're not deleting the 4-hour zone. And we got one more up here. I think that's it. Now you'll notice the boxes. That box shows that and it looks like it's not drawn off anything, but it's drawn off the 4-hour time frame. So that's why it looks like it's not attached to anything, because these candles are all inside that 4-hour time frame. So it was attached to a 4-hour high. Well, we'll zoom out and kind of look. Let's see how it's attached to a 4-hour high. But when you go down to a smaller time frame, then it looks like it's actually not attached to anything at all. I'm going to delete this one, and then I'm going to leave this one here. That's an inner uptrend line right now. It was drawn from back here off these lows, and then that one there, and then it kind of pushed beyond it here. So I'm going to leave those, and I'm going to take this. We had a downtrend line here, and then off the highs, it was kind of broken back here. So we formed a new one after it pushed up and pulled back and formed a new high. We basically made that one there. So that's my thick line. I'm leaving this dash line here because that's an inner uptrend line. That's an old one. So basically that was our uptrend line as it was going up. And then during this candle right here, 4-hour candle, it pushed through, pulled back. So that's why we're leaving that one. All right, so now what we got to do is kind of zoom in on the 4-hour and kind of look to draw our zones. Now I'm going to be moving some stuff around because I could see like this yellow zone right here. It was, drawn off this high. It was tapped twice here, almost 3 times respected, and then it popped up, came down and tested it. So that's a good 4-hour zone, except for the fact that during this last pull down where it pulled down to that hold up trend line, it actually broke through. So I want to take that off. I'm going to take this one off. I'm basically looking at new zones. I can leave this high one here, and I'll leave this down here as a lower one, but I'm going to zoom in on on this and look to see. So we're basically at the top up here. We're pretty much back up there. So I'm going to draw one off of this wick high right here. And that one I'm just going to label as a, if I can find the tool, I'm going to color that one yellow because we're right there. And it looks like my tool has other ideas. Let's try it again. All right, so from the high of the wick to the low, I have no idea why it's doing that. Let me go ahead and check the... Yeah, it looks like that's what I'm stuck with here. Let me recolor this. So that's going to be a mid zone for us. And we'll just change the colors of that. And then we're going to leave the top one up here because that's a good valid zone off our high. So you'll see that basically where it pulled up on Friday was right under the bottom of that zone. So that's going to be kind of a mid zone. If it breaks through that, it should go up to this upper zone, so hold your runners. And then as far as a lower zone, I'm going to come in and draw one, there we go, off of this low right here. And that's going to be our buy zone. So we're going to look for it to bounce. There's three reasons why we would look for it to bounce here. There's one, we have a down trend line that's off a 4-hour time frame. Two, we have a zone that we just drew off of this indecision in the market, okay, off that wick right there. And then three would be this uptrend line right here, this old one. So if you look at that, you can see it pulling down to those three areas and finding support right in there, okay? So that's going to be our valid area for a short. So right now we're going to dial down to 60 and then basically go to 60 in a 15 minute. You'll see that it tapped that yellow zone up there. Nice bullish push, which we had on Friday. Go down to a 15, it double top there. We traded this. We had 6 trades on this. Part of this was the news, and then after the news settled, we got in long, and then when it tapped up to the top of the zone, it basically passed our old zone. We actually got in and out of it when it went up and down. I don't have an uptrend line. You can draw one off of here for a smaller time frame. Uptrend line. And just kind of use that right there. I make it a little thinner. I only let the outer ones, leave them as those as thick lines. Yeah, I keep it right there. So that would be our up trend line right now. You can see it kind of shift. I know a lot of people like to do this right here, because you can see the lows. It's kind of a parallel line to that. It's more of a market shift to where if it's bouncing on one line, then it might have an inner line. So it's okay to draw something like that. Just be aware that if it pulls back to that tonight and goes through it, it could actually be pulling to this one in the bounce. So overall, that's what we're looking at when we're down on a 5 or 3 minute. Is we're looking to see what happens at the start of the market. Is it going to pull up here and break through that zone and then bounce off the top and give us a signal to get in long, or is it going to actually come back through and turn around up there? And then at that point we would look to take it short. I'm trying to find this tool in here. There it is. So again, if it pulls up, we can see it go up to that zone and tap it and come back down to test that, up trend line, or even pull to this one. Either one, give a bounce. So it could bounce like that, come up here and go back to that zone, or it could even bounce here and go clear back up toward that zone and test that zone. So we might see something like that tonight as you're trading, because it is, it's tapped it twice over here, so that might be our third tap. So it's either going to do that, or it's actually going to pull down to the bottom first and pull down to the trend line. So it could actually pull down to this one and then give a bounce and then go up to the zone to test it, or it could plow through that, hit this other trend line, and then pull up to that and then give a bounce, or it could push through. So hold your runner if you're in. If you get in down here, either one of these, if you get in here at this trend line or get in here at this trend line long, and it pulls up, hold your runner. Draw a trade line on the way up and hold your runner in case it breaks through the zone. If it pops back through your trade line and starts doing short, well then close out your runner and look to get in short. So you would close your long runner and look to take a short. All right, so that's where we're at on